Well, I got to get out of that wind. They say that, oh, 5 minutes with that wind, 50 below, it can freeze your eyeballs shut, or it can cause frostbite. My cheeks are burning right now, so I'm taking my gloves and warming up my cheeks because I can feel that I might be getting a little bit of frostbite on there in that wind. Back quickly, I got to get out of this wind. Hey everybody, this is the Marine with Backpacking with a Hammock. I'm up here in the BWCA, the Boundary Waters canoe area. I'm gonna do a little winter trek just for a day or two. The temperature has really plummeted. It's supposed to get really cold. It's cold now, it's windy. It is minus 15 below zero right now. So I'm gonna set up the poke and take off and find a spot. I'm hoping to cross the lake, but I don't know how windy it is with 15 below and this high wind. It might be just a little bit too windy. If not, I'll find a place to hunker down in. You have to get a permit to come into the Boundary Waters, but through, October to April, you can self-register right here, fill it out, throw it in the box. Well, I was gonna go head down that way, but that wind is just whipping. They say with this wind chill it's about 50 below zero. So I'm gonna tuck up in the woods over there. You can see it's just whipping, it is cold. Oh, it would have been tough trekking across the lake there. Oh man, it is cold in that wind. I gotta get a place and go up in there in the woods and find a place to tuck into. Whew! She's a cold one. Now the hammock that I'm using is a Clark NX250. This is my extreme cold weather hammock. I haven't had this out in probably 4 years because we haven't had any real cold weather. When it comes to extreme weather, this is the hammock that I'd use, and I'll show you why. Now the first underquilt that I have underneath the hammock is a Clark synthetic underquilt. And it has Velcro. That Velcro's all around. It's really cool. So no gap or air gets in there. It comes all the way to the top. And you Velcro it on the top. It comes all the way down to the other side. So that underquilt is completely encased, but the downside is it's very bulky and heavy, but it works really well with another underquilt. So I have that, and then underneath that, I have my 0 degree Phoenix from Hammock Gear. And then I always have my underquilt protector. Now the top quilt that I'm going to use tonight is a 0 degrees with 4 extra ounces. It is the burl from Hammock Gear. And around that I'll have a 25-degree Western Mountaineering sleeping bag. It's called Sycamore. You take the sleeping bag and you zip it down to about 18 inches. I'll take my top quilt, then put it inside your sleeping bag. Then I'll take my thermal rest seat pad, stuff it all the way to the bottom. I like that thermal rest seat pad because foam will build up condensation inside, and I find that thermal rest seat pad doesn't build up so much condensation. And plus it's a little more cushion on my heels. Then when you put it in your hammock, you flip it upside down. Then you put your feet in the 18-inch foot box on top of the seat pad. And then when you're in your hammock, you want to tuck it down. And then the inside all around so it's nice and snug. I'm using these snow stakes, and I got that cordage going through the middle of that loop in there because I want this thing flush in the snow. So I take my shovel and you push down on it, and I'll throw some more snow on there, and you just leave that there for about 20 minutes. Then hook the guide line to the tarp. About 20 minutes it'll cinder and it won't come out. The only problem, it'll be hard to get it out in the morning. That's how you put in the snow stakes. Now the fly that I'm using is a War Bonnet Superfly with a pull module. I always use that for my winter tarp. I got Velcro doors. With the Velcro doors, I can button it down because it is still windy. I'm tucked in the woods here, so it's blocking the wind, but it's still breezy back here. I don't know if the snow is blowing off the lake and that's what's causing this effect. You can see the trees are full of snow. And the wind's blowing the snow off the tree, and it could be that too, or it could be snowing, I don't know. There's a lot of snow on the trees. Oh, it's hard to talk. My mouth is kind of frozen a little bit. One thing with this cold weather is just chewing up the batteries. This is the second battery that I'm putting in my camera, and I barely even used it because it's just so cold and it really drains those batteries. So I'm due for another battery. I just put it in. Now the thing with that Clark NX250, it's only a 10-footer, and you can't sit in it because it's really deep cut in it. It's like a cocoon in there, so it's not great for sitting. That's one drawback on it, and I don't care for a 10-footer. I like the 11-foot hammocks, a little more comfortable. It's probably going to get down into 30 belows, probably about 35 below tonight, so hopefully that'll keep me warm. Otherwise, it's a long trek out. I made these tiny little sandwiches out of Hawaiian buns, and I caked it with butter, a little bit of cheese, and a piece of ham on there. And the reason why I caked the butter on there, now when you're up here in the cold weather like this, you want to have different types of food to give you fuel to burn, give you energy. And simple carbs will give you fuel for about 1 hour. Complex carb will give fuel for about 2 hours. Protein will give you fuel for your energy, for your body for 6 hours. But one of the best energies or fuel for your body is fat. Fat will burn for 8 hours. And so I made these little sandwiches and I caked the butter on there. And it's really good to eat a lot of fat before you go to bed, because that will give you fuel and keep you warm during the night for at least 8 hours. So I'll eat a lot of fat before I go to bed, and that keeps me warm and it gives you the fuel. That's a little trick, a little tip for you. Not bad. Caked with butter though. Poured all the water bottles into that more pot. I love that thing. It's from 4Dogs. So it can hold 2 of those Nalgene bottles. So I put both bottles in there. I'm gonna make some hot chocolate. Then I'll take the bottles and I'll put them back into this insulated case. And then I'll bury one in the snow and the other one I'll probably wrap around my wool Boreal shirt. You can see my breath is getting hot in here from the stove, so I'm getting a little bit of steam. But still, it's probably almost 20 below. I didn't get a fire today because it was just too windy and trying to get a fire. Probably should have though, because man, it's cold. But I'll probably stay up not too late. As soon as it gets dark, I'll probably go to bed early tonight and hopefully get some good night's sleep. Well, good morning. Man, I must have slept 12 hours. That was really nice and toasty in here. Oh. It's probably a little bit too warm in here. So I had to open up my underquilt to let some of the heat out because I was afraid of sweating in here. You don't want to get wet or sweaty in here. I slept just wonderful. And what I have here with this Clark hammock, it has a top cover, so I can put that top cover over my sleeping bag and my top quilt. And then I have my Western Mountaineer 25 degree. I had that on top of my 0 degree burl. And underneath me, it was really toasty. I had to adjust my 3/4 underquilt. I had to adjust it to make sure it was just perfect on me. So last night I got up about 3 times to go to the bathroom. So each time when you get up and get back in here, you got to adjust that 3/4 underquilt because it shifts around. And I got that situated and set just perfect. And man, I slept great. Really nice and warm. This is like my personal little hotel in here. But I got to get up and get some water boiling and eat some breakfast. Boy, it's a beautiful morning. I don't know what the temperature is. It was supposed to get down to 35 below. Before I went to bed, I boiled the water and I put in this insulated cover here, this container. And then I wrapped it in this wool Boreal shirt. And let's see how it worked. You can see that the water is not frozen, but when I open it up, it'll start freezing. So I'm going to boil it real quick and get some hot water and get some hot chocolate and make some oatmeal. Now, when you're stationary, it's really important to put a foam mat underneath your feet, either standing or sitting. Yesterday, I was sitting here cooking and my feet were starting to get cold, and I realized I didn't have the mat out. I didn't set my feet on the mat. And what that mat does, it just keeps the cold from coming up. And it really does work. So I really suggest if you're going to be in an area where it's really cold, get a foam mat, put your feet on if you're going to stand for some period of time or sit. One thing you want to do is you want to keep your lighter against your body because if it's cold, it won't start. And I have these chest pockets on this fleece shirt. And that's how I'll start my stove. These little cozy that wraps around the cups keep these cups really warm, so my hot chocolate will stay hot for maybe 20 minutes to a half hour. This cold, probably 20 minutes. But it keeps it nice and hot, so if you set it down, you got to do something. These cozy that wraps around your cups are really great. Still warm, still a little hot. Well, I'm going to start packing up, putting everything away. That's going to take me a while. I got a lot of down to be packing. But it was a great trip. It's a beautiful morning. Wow. It's like, even though it's cold, it's just gorgeous being out here. I love it out here. Got some great sleep, great view. Just a beautiful day today. Well, the car started, which is good. When I went to start it, it really didn't want to start. It was chugging and chugging, but it finally started. I looked at the thermometer in the car, it says 27 below. And it's a lot warmer than it was early this morning, so I have to assume it was in the 30s, probably 31, 32 below zero. The winds have died now, so it's not as bad. It's warmer. I probably could have stayed another day because I was worried about that wind. Yeah, I had a great time. It's really nice being out in the woods. There's no one out here. They were saying it was dangerous conditions. I could see why with that wind blowing, because it was definitely over 50 below zero on that lake and that wind whipping through. Luckily I found a spot here that I could tuck away in, get out of the winds pretty much. It was still a little breezy, but man, what a wonderful time. A lot of you guys will think that, you know, this looks terrible, this is a tough thing to do. If you have the right gear, the right equipment, and the right know-how, it really isn't that hard, and it's a beautiful time to be out. And there's no one around, there's no mosquitoes or bugs. Man, it was just a wonderful time. I had a great time. Now you can see that the temperature has risen 3 degrees. It's 24 below zero. 20 minutes ago it was 27 below, so it's really warming up. I looked at my cell phone and it said this area was 35 below zero. So I estimated probably about 31, 32 below zero. I don't think it was 35 below zero, but it was cold. But the setup I had was nice and warm. So officially my thermometer did not go that low, so I can't, it cuts off at 20 below. So I don't have an official temperature reading. So that's the lowest I've been so far. I was hoping to get up to 37 below, but I'm happy. I'm warm, no frostbite. I'm ready to go and get me a burger and let's go. I'm on my way home. My wife, I have to call her because I know she was worried. They were saying it was dangerous conditions. She thought I was nuts going up here, but so did everyone else. I had a lot of people praying for me. This is the Marine with Backpacking with the Hammock. Thank you for watching, and God bless.